Hi Year 9 and welcome to the PE Department's option information for you. So if you were to pick PE at GCSE, you would be studying OCR Cambridge National Sports Science qualification. And this presentation is to give you a clearer understanding of what the Cambridge National is, what you'd study for sports science, and for you to decide if this is the right course for you. You'll be studying this qualification for 2 years, so make sure that you are choosing wisely in your options. If you have an interest, and it's not just in sport in terms of playing sport, but if you have an interest in learning about the body, how it works, how movement occurs, why our diet is important, then maybe this is an option for you. So take some time, listen to this presentation, read through it afterwards, and you can make your choice. So what is a Cambridge National? It's an equivalent to a GCSE, similar to a BTEC. You will be graded in terms of a pass, merit or distinction. It is a specific qualification for Key Stage 4 and it allows you a clear progression from GCSEs into A levels, and particularly at Ilsley we continue to study the Cambridge Technical in year 12. So if you were interested in doing something with sport later on in your education, then this is a good place to start because it will build your knowledge and it's a good foundation for you to move forward with. So why study sports science? It will help you to see how the body works. So it's not just playing sports, it's not just going out and playing football or netball or rugby. We will do aspects of that, but we'll be learning about how you're able to play football. So how are you able to move, and how do we get the sports stars as fit and healthy as they are? What things do they have to do to ensure that they're at their peak performance and fitness? And so you will learn the anatomy of the body, so the bones, muscles, the heart, the lungs. You'll learn about the physiology of the body, so how do they work? How does the heart manage to get the blood around to our working muscles, and how do we get oxygen into our body and remove carbon dioxide? You will also learn about injury prevention, so when you do play sport, the types of injuries that you're prone to get or whilst playing sport, and how we can overcome those injuries and what we can do to prevent them. You'll also look at fitness training, so how do you become fitter as an individual? What training can you do that's best specifically for that individual? And then the importance of a diet and nutrition and how that can help with sports performance, and also the psychological part. So what makes your brain work, and how do we get these sports stars who are able to deal with the pressures of performing at such high levels, and what do they do to ensure that they can perform as well as they perform? So as I said, it's not just about the practical side in terms of playing sport. We want to know how you get to play that game, and how the professionals and the sports stars that we see and we watch on TV, how do they get there? And they can't get there unless they have the foundations. And we will learn about those foundations and what makes these athletes so elite, and how can we aspire to be like them. So is the sports science course for you? Throughout the 2 years, you will sit one examination, and you have to for any vocational qualification. So you'll sit one examination, but it will be through a smaller period of time. So we will usually deliver it in year 11 between September and December, and you'd sit it in January. So you have a whole term worth of lessons to build your knowledge for that exam, and then you sit your exam, and it is an hour exam. And so it's not a course where you have to learn the content for 2 years and you're building up on that content and remembering all of that information, and at the end of the 2 years having a final examination to give you a qualification. The exam is just part of this process. Sports science qualification is mostly coursework based, so you'll have 4 units which we'll go through further in this video, but one of them is the examination and 3 are coursework based, and they are moderated in school by your teacher, and then we send them off to get externally moderated by OCR. But you're able to build up lesson by lesson your coursework. So we'll deliver the lessons to you, we'll teach you the information, we'll set you a task, and then you build your coursework portfolio. You will have to do research tasks because you'll have to find out about the topics that you are covering. But again, we'll build on those research tasks in lesson and we'll gradually get to our final coursework piece, and we'll do that bit by bit throughout the qualification. So if you like doing research, going on the internet, finding information out, again, this course could be something for you. And also we'll do practical activities. So as I said, you need to be able to find out how the body works, how do we play sport, how do we get fit and stay healthy for playing sport. And so to do that, we'll go and do some practical activities. So not just playing football, but going to look in the fitness suite and working on improving our overall fitness levels, and then doing practical activities in terms of the human body. So it's called applied theory. So we'll teach you something in the classroom and then we'll take you and we'll do a practical activity on that topic that we are covering. So if you're thinking, this sounds good to me, I don't like waiting to do an exam at the end of a 2-year course. I like to sit and build my knowledge and produce my coursework as I go, and you like doing and learning about the practical side of PE, then this course is for you. So how will you be taught? As I've said, there are 4 units that you have to complete. In year 10, we begin with applying principles of training. And then we go on to the body's response to physical activity. So they're 2 coursework-based units. So you'll be working with your teacher in your lessons from September to December for the first unit, and then January to April, May time for your second. And then if they are all completed, that gives us the end of year 10 to be able to do more practical based activities and build on our knowledge and understanding for our topics into year 11. And then when you get into year 11, this is where we'll undertake the written exam. So from September to December of your year 11. And then once you've completed your exam in January, we'll move on to our final coursework-based unit, which is sports nutrition. So what are in the units? What do they consist of, and what do you have to be taught? So for RO42, it's applying the principles of training. We learn about your fitness levels. So we test you, we do fitness testing, and there's lots of different fitness testing that we'll look into. So we'll look at your speed, your power, your muscular endurance, your balance, your flexibility, and we test those components. And we'll go through the testing procedure because you have to carry out these tests. And then you will compare your data to normative data, and you'll see whether you are average, above average, below average. And then from that information, you create your own training program. So we'll teach you about the different aspects that need to be involved in the training program. And we'll do practical lessons doing different types of training methods. So we'll look at interval, fartlek, we'll look at continuous resistance training, and you will decide which training method is best for your fitness and improvements that you have targeted and want to improve on. And then you create your training program. We then spend 6 weeks working through that training program. And at the end of the training program, you retest yourself and see if you've made improvements. See if you, from your training program, have improved your fitness. So it's a really practical, hands-on unit. You get to spend a lot of time working on your fitness levels and planning your training program. And then this poster here gives you an idea of things you may be looking into, so specificity, progression, overload, fit, the importance of rest and recovery, and what would happen in terms of reversibility. So if you stop training, what happens to your body? But it's really good to get you thinking about your fitness levels and how you can improve your fitness. So children that I've taught and who have completed this course have really enjoyed this, especially when they've created their own training program and they're able to do the training outside of school, do it in PE lessons, and really build on their fitness. So for each unit, you will get, and this is called your marking criteria grid, you will get something that looks like this. This is only part of the marking grid for RO42, but I just wanted you to see the types of coursework that you'll be working towards. And it's split into 3 areas. We've got MB1, which is your pass. MB2, if you get into here, we're working towards merit. And MB3, we're looking at distinction. And so you'll see that you have to describe the principles of training, give sporting examples. You'll learn about aerobic and anaerobic exercise. You'll learn about the components of fitness. You'll learn about training methods. You'll learn about fitness testing. So there's lots of things that you will learn, but we can do all of those practically. And each lesson or each week, you'll get set a task by your member of staff and you have to complete that task, and then we'll mark it and give you a grade back from this marking grid. Once you've completed RO42, we move on to RO43, and this is all about the body's response to physical activity. So it's a really good one to follow, RO42, because you'll be testing yourself at the start of your training program, and you'll be testing yourself at the end of the 6 weeks. And what this unit does, this unit will be able to tell you why those changes happened. So why did you get stronger, or why did your power improve, and why could you lift heavier weights from week 1 to week 6? And this unit is all about the musculoskeletal and the cardiorespiratory system. So your bones, your muscles, your heart, your lungs, how they all work, and then how they improve through exercise, and then also what happens to them when we exercise. Because obviously our heart and lungs are working all the time, but then when you start to exercise, their job changes. And in this unit, we find out why their job changes and how it changes, and the importance of those changes to ensure that we are able to perform while in sport. And then also those long-term effects are really important if we're looking at those elite athletes. So how did they continue to keep those fitness levels and at peak levels throughout their career and their performances? And so we'll learn about what the body's effect is to exercise and what those positive effects are for performance. So again, another practical based unit, not so much in playing sport, but in looking at our training program that you've created, working on that training program and different types of training, because different training will have different effects on the body. But we can do this practically. So we can be in the sports hall, we can be out on the Astro, we can have a look at how our breathing and heart rate has changed during the lesson, what's happened to our blood pressure, why is there a change in our blood pressure and body temperature. So to find out all of these responses to physical activity, we actually have to do the physical activity. So again, another really nice practical unit which follows on nicely from RO42, and again looking at the workings of the body. You will then move, and again, sorry, this is a marking grid reflecting the kind of work you will be completing for this course. So you have to know the main components of the musculoskeletal system, and that's in terms of the names of the bones, the muscles, what is the jobs. You need to do the same again. You need to label the heart, the lungs. You need to know about how you breathe, how do you receive oxygen, remove carbon dioxide from the working muscles. And you need to be able to explain how these change whilst exercising. But again, like I said, this is just an example of some of the assignments you will be completing for this unit. Most, if not all, of your units have 4 learning outcomes. So this is ALO 1, so learning outcome 1, ALO 2, and then there's 2 more ALOs. And each ALO focuses on a different aspect of that unit. So you will have pieces of coursework to complete for each of those ALOs, and you'll see that some of them are worth less, some are worth more, so this one would have more work involved in it, but your portfolio of coursework is built up over the course of teaching that unit. So once you come into year 11, we focus our first term in year 11 onto our exam. So this is the unit where you will sit an externally moderated exam. So you'll go to the sports hall, you'll be sat in exam conditions, and you will complete an hour exam. But we will teach you from September to December the content for this. Again, something that can be done really nicely practically if you have chosen to do D of E. This year, if you started your bronze, you'd be working on things like first aid, and we can get Mrs. Lloyd to come in and she can deliver first aid sessions to us, and we can learn about what happens if we have a sprain or a strain or a break of a bone. How do you respond to those injuries in sporting situations? And then again, this is a simple knowledge organizer for this first learning outcome for RO41. So the things that you'll be learning is about what external factors can influence the risk of injury. And so we've got here things like the type of activity, the different environmental factors, equipment that's used. We then have intrinsic factors that can reduce the risk of injury. So what things you have to think about before you go and participate. So whether you need to do a correct warm-up, whether you need to think about your fitness levels before you go and participate, injuries that you're prone to and how you can stop that. And then we look at psychological factors. How does that determine and reduce the risk of injuries? And this is just the first ALO. So there's lots of things we learn there. And then we move through the ALOs, and you've got 4 ALOs, all down to different types of injuries you get in sport and how do you respond to those injuries. And so we look into detail about how you can help an individual if you were to come across somebody who was injured whilst you were playing sport. So you, again, building your knowledge and having a broader understanding of what to do if there was an accident whilst you were out, not only playing sport, because we will look at accidents and injuries that can generally occur, and then you learn how to deal with those and practically, and then we learn how to write about them for our exam. And then finally, we look at sports nutrition. So we look at what is required for a healthy diet. So the different components of a diet that you should be eating to ensure that your body is getting the right nutrients to be able to perform. We look at what you have to eat and when you have to eat, because if you're performing, there's different types of food and different types of nutrients that you should be having to ensure you're getting the best out of your performance. And then we look at creating our own diet plan. So taking all that information we've learned about the different components of a diet and the importance of certain nutrients and why we should eat them, and then you create your 2-week diet plan, and you can follow that diet plan. So you can create it for yourself or for a friend, you can get them to follow it, and then we get to look at and see how effective your diet plan was. Did it meet the aims of your plan, and what you can do next time to make it better? But we have a look at that. So we can also do this not so much practically in terms of sport, but we also could go and have a look in DT and create some meals and look at the nutrients within a meal and what is needed for a sports person when they go out to perform, and how is that different to somebody who doesn't play sport. So a really good unit just for yourself, for your own knowledge, for your own understanding of how to lead a healthy, active lifestyle. So this whole qualification, it is not just about sport and playing sport. It's about what makes you physically fit and healthy, and we teach you the fundamentals and you can build on them and participate in sport and reap the benefits of knowing all the information about what can make you fit and healthy. And so this is a good lifelong qualification, and this will be your starting building bricks to understanding the body and how it works. And so again, a marking criteria grid of the type of assignments you'll be undertaking for this unit. So what do we expect from you if you choose PE as your option? Well, we'll have really high expectations of you, and if you aim high, then your possibilities are endless. You would maybe not have covered a lot of that content previous to year 10, and so it will be the first time you are hearing it, producing it, doing it. But set yourself those high targets, work towards those MB3s, those distinction level work, because possibilities are endless when you are able to commit yourself to that qualification. So we will have high expectations of you, and we would like you to have your own high expectations. You need to ensure that your work is handed in on time. It's quite a fast-paced qualification, and we have to move through it, and we're really structured with our handing date deadlines. So you really need to ensure that you are getting your work handed in to those deadlines. If you start missing deadlines, you'll be late, you won't be ready for the next assignment, and it just snowballs into something that can seem quite difficult to get out of. So with sticking to those deadlines, it ensures that you are always prepared and ready for the activities that are being taught. And so it's really important that you're able to do this. Always ask if you do not understand something. We do not want you sitting in a lesson and not having a clue what is going on, or going home to do some homework and not understanding it. So we ask you to always ask us if you have a problem with something, because we are always more than happy to help you. So don't sit there thinking, oh, I can't ask, or I don't know. Fire away, ask the questions, we'll give you the answers. Therefore, you'll be able to complete your work, keep the deadline, and continue to meet those high expectations that we and you have set. We use Google Classroom. Now, due to remote learning, you are probably very fond, maybe not fond, but you are probably very well aware of Google Classroom, which makes our lives a lot easier. And so we use that. That is where all our coursework is set. That's where we hand in all your coursework. It's nicely organised, and we're able to follow you through your coursework process and keep an eye on your work. And again, it's that being able to ask questions if you're struggling. We're always just at the end of a Google Classroom message to be able to provide you with the help you need. And also what we like to encourage is an after-school PE study session or a revision session, and we'll put these on weekly or fortnightly depending on how we're progressing throughout the qualification. But we do expect, again, those high expectations. We do wish for you to come to those if we put them on. It may not be for everybody every week, it might be certain people. It might be those who we want to push a little bit higher, so we get them back to work one-to-one with. But if you're asked to come back for that PE study session, it's really important that you do, because it will set you up for, again, the next lessons and meeting those grades and the targets that we set for you. And I mean, Tiger Woods' dad is 100% correct. You get out of something what you put in it. And so if you want to make this qualification a success, if you want to do this and you want to work hard and succeed, as long as you meet the deadlines, work hard, get involved in the class discussions, complete your homework on time, do extra research about the qualification, you will fly through this course and you will enjoy every part of it. It's all about what you put into it, is what you will get out of it. I really hope you've enjoyed the whistle-stop tour of OCR Sports Science. If you have any further questions, then please fire away, ask the PE department. We'll be happy to help you. Have a look on the OCR website, as it will have some more detail of the qualification. And if you've got friends that you know in year 10 and year 11, ask them what they thought of the qualification. I'm sure you'll hear lots of positive things, and I'm looking forward to seeing who we will be teaching for our year 10 in 2021. Thank you.